Want to break up some weed?
Um, I'm gonna do like a quick intro at first, just to like kind of introduce you, and then we'll get into it. It's
Okay, cool.
should be going live right now. All right, perfect. All right, so today we're gonna be doing another interview. I've been trying to stay consistent with doing these as much as I possibly can, and today we have a very cool guest. This one is gonna be very cool to present to the people because he's also someone who's doing similar media content, but he's more of a streamer. So I was looking to see how he got into all of it and to see how he's basically going to like I think he could be someone who would give a lot of motivation to the people. So
Oh,
could you
yeah.
introduce yourself?
Nice. What's going on, man? Well, one, thank you for that introduction. Appreciate that. Those kind words, my guy.
Thank you.
My name is Jason Horn, but otherwise known as Sir High. Um, and yeah, I do a podcast out in Arizona called High in Arizona. And then just recently joined with onto Proper Smoke Network and doing a the Morning Wood out there where we jump on every morning and discuss cannabis news going on out the valley or in the nation.
Wow, that's dope. So did you grow up in Arizona?
I did actually. Yeah, I moved to Arizona when I was like 2 years old, and I'm I'd say out of the 40 or so years. I've lived in Arizona 36 of those years. So a lot of Arizona time. That's where I got the roots and whatnot. Arizona's the shit. So anybody out there watching out there, where are you at right there out in the world? I see, got the world behind you, but where you at?
Right now I'm in South Florida. I'm out in Pompano.
Sick, dude. I've been out into Florida a few times and performed out there. I love Florida energy. Um, so good to hear, man. Shout out to you.
Yeah, I actually like grew up in Massachusetts, but like just came down here recently, and it's like it's dope to see there's still like a big weed culture down here. Of course, like Miami's super busy for it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
cool to
I
hear about.
remember. I remember being out there, and it was at a time where it was still illegal as fuck. And so to hear now that you guys have dispensaries, and you guys have a unique dispensary, setup out there where it's all vertical integrated. They can't purchase from each other. So it's got to be an interesting market out there. I'd be curious to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean the game out here is very tricky because there's a lot of booth, you know how it is. There's like a lot of shit people are just selling to make a lot of money off of it, but it's also pretty interesting to see that there's like a few different growers out here that are doing good. Like, OG Cookie Monster, obviously, you've probably heard of him.
Oh wow, he's out there doing shit.
Yeah, he's like
Damn!
yeah,
Shout out to him.
yeah. Well, his I'm pretty sure his nephew's the one running it now, and he's doing amazing
Okay.
work with it. It's cool to see that they are keeping it in the
I
family.
keep it going. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's dope though, because there's like a few different guys out here doing it very proper. So it's like as you know, it's it's not like gonna be super common to find great stuff. You know what I mean? That's why it's good when you find it.
It's interesting, obviously you'll find brands, Alien Labs and Connected, I believe, are out there. And I know that, you'll see my guy Marcus with Nature's Labs is out there as well. So I think, you'll see a market try to, do it all themselves, but there's a demand for certain brands out there that I think will never stop or never deny because they represent the best of the best cannabis. And like, I mean, as a smoker out there, even if yeah, maybe the majority is just gonna want high THC. I feel like there's gonna be some smokers out there that are gonna raise some noise and be like, "Yo, let's get these fire genetics out here. What the fuck are we slacking on?" So, and then plus on top of that, those brands are gonna look at it and say, "Wait a minute, you mean to tell me there's no fire brands out there? They're licking their chops at it, right? They're like, shit, let me get out here and start cooking." So, um, yeah. So shout out to you.
The thing I like about Florida though is like it's like a big demand for OG. Everyone wants OG, and that's like something.
Really?
Yeah, you really don't see that everywhere else. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
crazy.
OG
Yeah,
came
no,
here supposedly, as that's like the story. You know what I mean? From
I
John.
feel like I hear that out here too, man. I'm out in Arizona. Look, a lot of people out here like, oh, bring the OGs. Where's the OGs? And we have a few brands out here, and we have a dispensary that is the king of OGs. They call themselves, and they put it down.
Yeah.
I just look at it like, yo, I think that we have seen genetics that are just hitting it a little bit more, giving a little bit more. Than just the punch, especially when you look at now the OGs that are crossed with a candy. Ooh, man, like that's just I think that's a beautiful combo. So just OG, I don't know, it's wild.
I'm weird. I really don't like the Skittles crosses anymore. I'm not like a big fan of like Skittles times OG or any of these like things that you're seeing like people in such a high demand for right now. I think that's kind of a phase that will go, and I do think people are gonna kind of want more of those classic strains again. But I don't know. I do think that's like something we are seeing much more in some of these grows. Like people actually are running some of these like classic old school things when they were just candy for a while. You know what I mean? What's
Right,
your
I am seeing that as well.
What's your opinion on candy though? Do you think that that phase has completely washed over? Do you think it's
Oh,
like
absolutely not, man. Candies are still highly demanded. I think they'll have at least another year of running. We'll see kind of what happens. Paying attention to right now, Proper Doinks is doing this competition where each of these they either curated this entry or they grew it themselves, but they threw 10 racks on each entry. And for me, what we're watching is really damn man, it's like watching the next great dish or the next the next great marijuana. Just call it what it is. Like these guys are the ones curating what I believe the nation for sure is going to want to smoke on, but honestly the globe, right? Like you look at right now, like toad venom, right? Has that made its way down to Florida yet?
oh yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Exactly, right. And so
In London and everywher. It's
the
probably
person
it's made
So the
its
person who curated Toad Venom, I believe or there's another one like Chi Toad or something like that. But these guys are all like involved in this small circle out there in California, and so we're having a front row seat at watching these guys and seeing what's going to be next. We got to give a big shout out to Preferred Gardens and Doja. Um, and then in Arizona, I want to always give a shout out to my guy Pico, who's out here curating things for Arizona, and it's interesting times, man. So um, I don't know, it's tight.
in Arizona. Were you going to California for the stuff early on, or were you actually finding good stuff in Arizona that was comparable to California stuff?
So I've been smoking for a long time, man. I've been through a lot of eras, right? So like, I would say that there've always been Arizona growers out here that have been putting it down. But in Arizona, if you try to make any noise or you're loud with it in the past, you've been like snagged up. So it really limited the access that I had for Arizona grown weed at the beginning until we went medical. So yeah, so like, I would find a lot of the times when I'd be out there, that California fire, man. And really the level that I found in cannabis from Humboldt was insane. That's really what put me on to like something that was like next level weed. I went on tour with this group called Potluck, and one of the artists is a generational grower. Like, what I mean? Like where his family been in the hills since been in the hills. And so, yeah, man, like I went on tour with them and they let me smoke some Humboldt. And this is so long ago, like 2008, or I have to think back. And I was like, God damn, like you can actually smoke something that tastes like this, like you know what I mean, and like and hit. And so
Was it
so
out
yeah, so
there?
that's where I would say like, and then from there, like, obviously, like as like we went medical out here, you always have that. We're right next to California, man. So it's like when you have all these people around you, like that have access to these, like, the Mylars, like that's when I found out about Doja. I found out about Don Murphos. Shout out to Don Murphos. Like they're just next level weed, man. So like I would get a lot from them until I started my Arizona podcast. That's when I was like, look, if I'm gonna do a podcast about Arizona weed, I need to just smoke Arizona weed so I know what like people are, going through. So it was until I did that a few years ago that I stuck to just what was growing out here.
Were you was the Humboldt stuff that you tried early on, was that outdoor weed?
I believe so, man, because like I can't imagine this is again like I'm thinking back now, it might have been like 2011 that I met them. And so like I can't imagine that it was an indoor facility, but like in there in Humboldt, like in a sense, Humboldt is the conditions that you try to strive for in a fucking indoor, right? So it's like, why not have it outside? Why would you go indoor in Humboldt when it's like that's the fucking mecca? So
Have some indoor Humboldt weed right here.
now, no shit. Okay, well there you go. Like, yeah, I guess there's reason.
Kind of, it's weird, but it's not like the smartest move. Obviously, you know what I mean. Like Humboldt is like perfect for sun grown flower. It's like it's the perfect
Right.
conditions. It's like it's literally almost like it's literally the perfect spot for it. So it's dope when you actually try weed from out there that's sun grown. It's able to give you so much flavor and so much actually like power that a lot of this indoor stuff can't really produce, in my opinion. Like there's like
Right.
you almost get this trippy high from it. You know what I mean?
What I felt it was there was something to it. I don't know. And what they tell me is it's the soil. They're like this that Humboldt soil, man. Like these hills been fucking growing weeds since fucking like what I mean. Like they've got a whole thing, and that's where over time, like I said, I was introduced to it in 2011, and so now we're sitting here a decade later, and we're seeing all this like commercialism and like weed kind of like growing up in a sense, and you hear about how they're attacking Humboldt, like how they're like now attacking how they get water and like how they're like trying to find ways to like flush them out, and that's where it's unfortunate, because that's where it's at, right? That's the mecca in my opinion is Humboldt. So it's like, damn, if you're forcing out those growers. Shout out to my homie Cherry over here. So I'm at her house and she's letting me kick it here. Even gave me a little phone to now roll up a blunt while I start set my phone on while I roll up a blunt. So
Dope.
amazing host. But so yeah, so that's where I felt like the most, man. We gotta try to save Humboldt, man. Try to make sure at all costs Humboldt is saved. Even if a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh, we just all moved to Sacramento," but it's like, yeah, but like, what about Humboldt? So
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of people in today's time haven't really experienced good outdoor weed. You know what I mean? Like the people running the game right now are people who would prefer to have indoor grows because it's easier to control and like you can get bigger numbers in those conditions. You know what I mean? It's much more profitable indoors nowadays. So it,
right, they gotta try to control like the what I guess you could say like pesticides and stuff like that too, and eliminate maybe some of that. I guess I don't know. I mean, obviously, like most places, they just can't grow outside. Like, cause in like think about it here in Arizona. You know what I mean? We're in Phoenix or there's probably like maybe a few spots out here. Like shout out to like Flagstaff and Prescott, and there's a few places like Camp Verde that are all like really good spots because of elevation to grow weed. But like, damn, that's it. Like, so I get it. Like, what I mean, it's got to be indoor. It's got to be, so and then for people now that it's commercialized, think about this, man. Like, we sell 12,000 pounds of weed a month, and I don't know if that's a lot. I'm not sure what Florida is a bigger state, what you guys are selling out there, but like. That's a lot of weed, man. So like you got to grow a lot of weed, and then that's got to be good weed. So it's interesting shit, man, to see it all being commercialized, though.
it is. It's very tricky because I think it's definitely making it so a lot of people don't fully get to experience the actually the real effects you're supposed to. You know what I mean? It's not really medical anymore. You know what I mean? It's
True.
sometimes it is depending where you're getting it from. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that we're finding that what we really saw, I think, and we all really knew, but we saw marijuana used medical as a way to get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then even in Arizona, once it became recreational, we saw the medical marijuana program really it's continuing to fall. Like there's less and less people getting their card, because the true people who need it for medical purposes, aren't the same people who aren't the 100% who voted, right? Like, what majority voted for cannabis, knowing that they just wanted to have access to it in some way, some form. Because if you look at like out in Arizona, the largest cause for getting a medical card was chronic pain. I myself did a chronic pain, and it was going into a doctor and being like, "Oh yeah, my fucking knee hurts," and it's like, "Okay, your knee hurts. Yeah, I got you on some weed," and I'm like, "Nice," you know. So I think that now that I didn't have to do that, I think a lot of people who don't care to carry a lot of weed are like, "Cool, I'll just stick to rec." I
Yeah.
still get my med card because I can have more limits. I can carry 2.5 ounces. Our recreational, you only carry 5 grams of fucking hash. That's crazy to me.
Really? So do you sometimes get your weed from like a med shop?
So yeah, so I have a brand in Arizona called Smackers, and I have a collaboration with a dispensary out here called the Flower Shop. And what I do right now is I get to cherry pick the Arizona licensed facilities for just the best weed that I can find, and then I throw it in a Smackers bag. I try to find like the small facilities. I'm a fan of helping like the facilities that aren't in a lot of dispensaries that are trying to make it. It makes the most sense for me and them. And so right now, I'm doing a drop actually tomorrow with a brand called Joel's Cannabis. Super excited about that. So yeah, so I'll smoke a lot of licensed stuff. I not only that, shout out to like Abundant Organics out here who sponsors my podcast a lot. Grow Sciences who partnered with me on a lounge. So yeah, I'd say I'm intricate or tied into all the licensed cannabis out here in Arizona just by like having the lounge and things like that.
Is there any like good grows in Arizona or good growers in Arizona that you would say are comparable to like some of the best in the game right now, or even are some of the best in the game right now?
So Arizona's tight because we have who I would think are some of the best. Like we have Doja, we have Alien Labs Connected, Preferred Gardens is out here. And then we have homegrown out here, Grow Sciences, who I think is going to make a lot of noise in the next year. They're looking to get out to they just launched out in Chicago or Illinois. And if I'm not mistaken, they might be coming out to Florida. So
I think they are out here. A lot of, or I'm not sure yet, but I know like all those people have been. I think like all the licenses are filled. So I would say like I wouldn't be surprised if they are one of the ones. You said
yeah,
grow beans.
well, because what I grow sciences and what I'm seeing is like, let's say a Pure Leaf or a True Leaf, one of the ones that I mean, I know True Leaf out there has like 158 dispensaries. It's like something like wild.
Yeah,
So what they'll do is they'll say, look, man, I can have grows up the ass. I've probably got 30 grows out there. So they'll go to a brand and they'll say, look, come do something with this fucking grow because I know you'll do something with it. You won't have to pay like a licensing fee because we'll partner up on it, and I know that's happening a lot in different states. I'm sure in Florida, and so we'll see kind of what goes on with that. But shout out to Grow Sciences. And other than that, out here, I would definitely give a shout out to my dude Pico with the flower shop. We're cooking up some cool stuff. Joel's Cannabis is another one. Um, let's see if I'm forgetting anybody that I'd love to give a shout out to. I think that, oh man, my bad. Give a shout out to my dude Mo, Cannabis out there. That's he's definitely got some smackers. That's my guy. And for sure, if you're ever out in Arizona, anybody ever checking the out our scene, Those would be the ones I would check out.
So what actually got you into like the social media side of it?
So I've always been on social media, man. I'm like a social media whore out here. I ought to be damn fucking straight with you. Like I've been on social media since the MySpace days, bro. Like pick your fucking top eight and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's just something that for me, I grew up with moving around a lot. And I think that almost attributed to some stability at least somewhere, right? Like knowing that like, okay, well, if I got online homies, no matter where the fuck I'm at, like, you know what I mean? They're online homies, like they're there. So, but I've gone through the MySpace, what is it? After that, it was like fuck, I think it was what, Facebook, and then after that it was IG. So, um, I used to do music. That was one of the things that I was one of my first passions is like, you know, trying to be a performer and things like that. So I've been on tours, and that's just a part of it, you know, like making sure that you check in with your audience and like, you know, trying to spread yourself through social media is the least expensive way you can market right now. So, it kind of went hand in hand.
Was the weed always the topic though?
Oh man, yeah, for sure. But I don't know why. The only reason I can contribute to why I just fell in love with weed is because I kind of felt like growing up, I saw a lot of like drug use in my family. So I think I grew up just like thinking like you had to pick one. And like I smoked weed and was like chill. I didn't feel like I'm like different. I was, you know, it just felt right. Um, And man, I tell you what, man, I've been a fucking advocate for weed, obnoxious with weed, arrested for weed, all types of shit with weed that like it feels good to have a brand now because now at least at the minimum I could say like, yo, this shit was worth it, dog. Like we're selling weed again legally. Let's get it. So
How old were you when you first started smoking?
I think the first time I tried smoking, I was like 14 and it didn't work out that well. And then the time I got my homies and we fucking went to town was like 15.
Yeah, that's like usually the case. It's like right around that time for most people, and it's like some people they I think they go into it like having this idea that it's gonna get you like completely obliterated, like almost like too high. You know what I mean?
Right?
You don't really feel it at first, you know, because especially like going into it, you're probably not smoking the best shit in the world.
Right, exactly. No, we were so pumped. We did think we were smoking that shit. I tell you what, and we did have it. What style? I think about these times all the time because it's so wild how it's like recreational, and you could just pull up to a dispensary. You can have all these options. And I remember just back in the day, like your options were your plugs. Your plug may have had another one, but back then, nah, your plug just had the one. But your plug had the one, and then you might find a better plug who had better shit, but like, man, I was thinking about that the other day where because like the holidays was always the time where we would get those, you know, we would call them Christmas buds, where it was still seedy weedy, but it was a little bit less seeds, a little bit more green. Oh yeah, those are good times.
Were you saving any of the seeds that you were finding ever?
No, you know, I never was one that was like considered being a grower.
Really?
Whenever I did try, I would murder them. I think that like for whatever reason, like I was never really good with growing weed until it went rec about 5 years ago. Um, but before, like I would kill a cactus. You know what I'm saying? You gotta water a cactus like maybe once every few months, and I'm still killing this bitch. And so like I just knew when I tried weed and it died and it never even really sprouted. I was like, this is ain't for me. But when we went rec in Arizona, I was a lot more passionate. I knew that I couldn't get my door kicked in. And I said, let's give it a go. And I was able to, I had like 10 harvests until I shut it down. And two of them really proud of them. Three of them were like, okay. About three of them are mids. Two of them were the worst weed that I think I've ever witnessed in my life. And so it's a journey, man.
Yeah. Do you ever think you'll go full into that side ever? Like trying to just grow?
I do actually, but I think it'll be like what I consider retirement, where I'm just like, I have so much time on my hands that like I can turn and the kids are gone. So I'll have rooms in my house that I can dedicate a whole room. Because right
Yeah.
now I've got like this 2x8 closet or 2x10 closet. So it's just kind of like, you know.
It
But
definitely.
I think as like as a retirement type energy, I could see myself as an old man trying to like pride myself on having like the fire ass weed.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's like one of those things like once you have like the patience to do it, it's probably the perfect time to do it. And that's like one of the things that I've always been like super interested in. I can't wait till I have like a spot where I can do it because obviously it's like illegal to do it out here, you know what I mean?
You guys
So
can't grow?
no, no. It's like
Wow, they don't have your fucking home
only
grows?
medically it's only medically legal in Florida.
Damn, that's a trip, man. It's always tripped me out when I would be touring and go through different states, how different it is, like from town to town. And like some towns would be like 100 miles away, but because it was in a different state, they had totally different legalities. And I was like, yo, that's kind of like feels weird.
It's
Feels
very
weird.
right. It's very odd how it's like so different in places that are so close to one another because it's like you could just be driving one state to another and it's complete different laws that are like for just a plant and it's obviously like something that's like not even really that effective for most people. You know what I mean? It's not like really gonna like make people a danger to themselves or others when they're driving or anything like that. So it's like to me it doesn't make too much sense why it's so frowned upon. You know what I mean? It's like it's very much situational but dependent on the strain though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that the different I love that we're seeing more science in marijuana and seeing what it does to us instead of having these stigmas, that that I've grown up on, like saying like, oh, like, just the easiest one to talk about would be like, oh, if you hold it in, you get higher and shit like that. But like obviously that was debunked. And then like now they're like, debunking like just like a DUI is actually like they're saying like okay, there's an inactive and or active and inactive, just all the science that comes with these, now grants, and we see what happened last week with Trump signing it for it to be a Schedule 3. What does that mean, right? Like now all of a sudden, are we going to see it on like apps and like sold nationally because like other Schedule 3s are sold very similar? Like why wouldn't it be the same? So we'll see what happens.
I think it already kind of has been. It's like there's like these like kind of crazy commercials that I've been seeing like for you can buy like it's like basically a different it's a different form of cannabis. It's like it's basically like the why am I not it's not coming to my
What, THCA?
it's THCA but it's that what's that other word for it? Delta
Delta 8?
I think it's Delta 8 I believe is actually like the THC we smoke but
Oh, Delta 9 then. But it's all really
it's
that
Delta 9.
THCA. And
Yeah,
now they shut that down though. Like you guys were popping on that, I believe it, because a lot of places like Texas, like anywhere that's not recreational, were selling. I mean, anywhere was actually selling the fuck out of it. But yeah, they shut it down, right? It's donezo, man.
it's odd though because you'll go to these you'll see like smoke shops on the side of the street and they're selling like all the different types of weed that are like the supposedly legal ones, you know what I mean? But it's like I don't know. It seems like just like a whole like a just like a goofy thing to have like the law where you can have like a this form of it's cool but this form of it's not. It's just like such like a weird loophole of nonsense to even have the law that
I guess. I
you
think
know.
I mean people said it was a mix up. There was a loophole, right? Like look how long it took for people to even find it. Like
Yeah,
I was thinking about that shit. I was like, they signed that in 2018, and I didn't hear about this until 2022.
really.
I was like, I've been selling fucking weed for the past 7 years. Damn.
I mean, realistically, that's like the cool part about it, though. It's I think that they are gonna make it better for the people in some ways if people are able to take advantage of it. But it's also gonna be a very interesting thing if there's gonna be a lot of these big money people that are gonna jump into it now. Now that it's
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, when you say take advantage, it's kind of like shit. I don't know, man. I think that we're best to see people who have sold weed before get more involved with the commercial market because I think that what we're seeing right now in the licensed industry is it's one being produced by people who've never sold weed, never smoked weed, right? So there's fucking two red flags right here. Like you don't have no idea what you're fucking talking about when it comes to selling weed, but you're gonna write the laws, you're gonna make the fucking regulations, like
You know,
so.
the way around that though is like a union. If the people that were actually like the real growers made this union and banded together and formed this alliance and actually did it proper, I think that's the way to defeat the big money chads. Because
I
in the
think
bigger
it's a start, man. You're right. And I think that, I don't know if you guys have your normal chapter out there. Here in Arizona, we have Arizona Normal. Shout to Julie Gunnagill, who's the board of directors, I think it's called the term. And she's doing a lot for Arizona cannabis out. Arizona Normal in general has done a lot for cannabis out here on a grassroots level. And and yeah, man, like you're saying, like the people who want change, the only way you're gonna make a change is if you really do get together and like formulate a plan and get down to your local districts and and really attack it on a local level. Because I think, sometimes we think about the national level and like we think about bigger picture, but it's like, yo, like, nah, just go down to your city and like that's what actually is affecting you is like what the fuck is happening in your city. Go to your capital, go to your, your it's getting ready to be, the season again where all these new bills are gonna come into play. Like go sit in there and voice your opinion.
Yeah, that was like the cool thing about in Massachusetts they were able to do the Freedom Rally. Have you ever heard of the Freedom Rally? So that was like they at first what they were doing is like doing these like smoke sessions in front of these like big public buildings, and they did one that was on the steps of the building that's like right across from the Boston Commons. It's like this very I forget what the building is actually held for. I completely am forgetting of what it's for, but it has this like gold cap on the top, so people probably know what I'm talking about. But they did this like smoke shots right on the stairs out there, and
Yeah.
after like they obviously weren't gonna arrest everyone. It was just like this thing that they're like they kind of pushed it into legalization in Massachusetts. That's like why Massachusetts was one of like the first ones to pass it and be open to doing those sessions each year, even before it was legal. They were always doing those. They were allowing of the freedom rally sessions every year to allow the people to like just smoke freely. It was kind of like a cool thing that they were able to like do a protest that actually worked. You know what I mean? Like a meaningful protest that would actually work for the greater good of the plant. And it actually seems to be like something that has to be taken in consideration when we see that the people were able to band together like that. I think that that could be done in all types of ways, but it's if it just has to be done in the proper way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout to Mass. I got a lot of love for Mass. I was out in Roosta performing a lot of times. And I remember when I pulled up, and this is like now 2011, 2012. They had fire out there, so I'm not sure how long that's been going on. But shout out to that. That's a great example for sure where, you know, rallying together can bring awareness and change. Did you make it out there when they were doing it?
Well, it was way before my time when they first started doing that, but I've always, ever since I was little, I would always go to the freedom rallies, and then like the boss, they also would do like 420 festivals every year. It was
That's
cool
right.
to see. Yeah, like way before, like obviously I was like young enough to see it before it was legalized, like fully, and it was still like massive. It's like amazing how many people show up for the freedom rallies. It's like people come from all the cities around, all like the places around, like everywhere in New England kind of comes to it. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
from everywhere come, so it's like cool to see. It's definitely like a big inspiration on why I always I actually took like cannabis to be something serious. You know what I mean? And started like really finding like an interest in like seeing like the background of like a lot of the history of certain strains and all types of things. You know what I mean? Because that's like the amazing thing when you watch like these different interviews that someone like First Smoke of the Day does. You get to see like there's a lot of history that goes behind all of this, and it's definitely very important to document it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I love that you brought up First Smoke of the Day, because I'm really pumped to be working with them now with their proper smoke network. I agree that they really figured out, and shout to Lance, he figured out how to just like, make it where people would watch, and enough of the industry respected him at the beginning to give him the tune in, and then it just built from there to now being what I figure like the number one cannabis platform out there. So shout out to First Smoke of the Day, putting out cannabis on a dope platform that can't be controlled by major media. It's like truly someone that grows weed and has a love for the plant.
Yeah, he's a very interesting person. I think that someone like him is perfect for that position, and it's like smart how him and his partner played it out in the beginning, and it's cool to see that he was able to keep it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was interesting, right? When all of a sudden his homie dipped out on it, I was like, "What?" I didn't really like,
Yeah.
as much as like I respect what like First Smoke of the Day has done and stuff like that. I didn't watch it like that. I wasn't religiously tuning in. I knew what it was about. I watched the growth of it. I just didn't have as much interest to sit there and like hear about the growers like that. But I knew when homie left, there was like a lot of talk and stuff like that, and it's like that happens, right, in life. And so, like, hey, man, for his partner to kind of just say, hey, you know what, I want to go a different direction, and respect to him, and I think that Lance recognizing that he had something there that like let me keep this going. You know, you saw in a sense, you likely saw who had the real passion at the very beginning to do it. You know, and his homie was just there as this homie, and even with my own podcast, I don't have the same people around me that I have when I started it. It's like it's something that is a passion project, as you know, right? Like, you out here, you're doing this because you have some type of motivation, but if there's an enjoyment behind it. And so if you're doing it just because the homie's doing it, that's gonna fizzle out at some point.
Yeah, that well, my idea was if you ever like listen back on the old podcast with Pat Gods where he was also a guest, or he was actually he was the host at the beginning. That's what I thought was very interesting was technically like Lance was like he was the basically like the co-host, you know what I mean? And then he became
No way.
that's how it played out. That's how it was
I had
started.
no idea that. Damn, that's crazy then. All right, fuck, I had it all backwards. Then that's wild that well, good for Lance. He's like, yo, this shit's tight. He's
Well,
I'll keep it rocking.
Pat Gods was like a very business-minded person, and I still think that's like what you see today with like what he does. He's like a very business-minded person. He's also like the person who seems to be like the more social media savvy guy. You know
What
what I
does he
mean?
do now? I thought he like kind of left the cannabis industry. Is he still in cannabis?
No, so now I'm pretty sure he's like a real estate guy who's like posting like these like motivational fitness things.
Word.
Very interesting, yeah. But he's like still doing media around it. You know what I mean?
Right. So he obviously had like that. He knows how to use media to.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. Like I've seen that with glass blowers who, they were doing amazing artwork and making amazing pieces, and then they just stopped and got like a totally different direction.
Yeah.
And you know, I can get it. I can understand it. I see why. You kind of gotta like you gotta have like be down to battle through some resilience to be an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot of safer routes you can take in life, and so yeah. So I never knock anyone doing that because shit, I consider it sometimes myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. I understand it. It's interesting. That's why I think it's amazing to see that Lance was able to keep it going in the way he does because he's definitely the one that I look to in a way to actually hear about the plant. Like he has like a very interesting way of of breaking down like things that people are saying once they say it to him. You know what I mean? Because
That's
he
cool.
experience. You know what I mean? Like
That's cool.
that's
Did you
what
watch that Doja one he dropped just recently where he went out to Doja's farm?
I have not. I haven't seen that one. I haven't been
Bro.
keeping up lately. I've been kind of like more like focused on like different types of content, I guess. Like I've been watching like probably it's too much political shit to be honest.
I
It's like
feel it. Well,
probably
I mean, yeah, I mean, unprecedented times. I mean, it makes sense though too. There's a lot of shit going on with that. So,
yeah. It's definitely it's tricky because you never know what's what. You know what I mean?
hmm.
But when it comes to like the doing the collab with proper Doinks and them, how did that come about?
So I have a lounge in Arizona, and that's I found out about him because a lot of people at the lounge started like kind of like imitating their role techniques and referencing proper doinks, and it became like this thing. So I would check them out, and they started doing these competitions, and I'm a competition person. Like I like seeing two motherfuckers like figure out who's better through either sport or in this situation they do weed, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck yeah, man, who's got the better weed? This is tight. So they did this thing and they created this side by side comparison that really just like the way they do it, it makes it entertaining. And so I've been watching them for like I bet a little bit over a year now. And I noticed that they started hooking up with First Smoke of the Day and like, they're doing their thing and like just the growth. So then when they announced that they were going to put together between the two of them a network, I'm like, yo, like I've been doing my podcast in Arizona for like 3 or so years at that point. And I hit him up. This is like probably like 3 months ago. And I hit him up. I'm like, yo, if you guys need shows, like what's good? Like I'm down. I got a show. I would love to come over there. I'm like, I would fucking crush it. And Adam was the one I was talking to. Shout out to Adam Proper Doinks. And he was like, look, man, like right now we're trying to build out these studios for like these three shows that we have in mind. He's like, but I'm gonna run it by people because I'm kind of fucking with the idea. And so a couple months goes by, and he hits me up and we start talking about it. And he's like, yo, we filled out all those things, we got it going. He's like, are you still down? He's like, there was a couple people filling the idea. I'm gonna talk to everyone else. I just wanted to talk to you about how it would work. And we like chopped it up because I think that like a morning news show is it's nice. Like people like, it builds up. Everybody's up in the morning. A lot of these growers are up early enough anyways. Or if you're in the weed industry, a lot of the times you're up pretty early. And so um and then like we have so much like propaganda in the marijuana world where like the major outlets are just like feeding us bullshit. So it's like, yo, like let me do my news thing, boo boo boo. He pitches it to them, everyone fucks with it. And so they flew out, man. They flew out to Arizona. Adam flew out last weekend and built the studio. And like my at my house, we got this studio that I've been using, just as like my personal one. But now it's like unofficial fucking, proper smoke network studio. And I just started doing it's called the Morning Wood weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, and it's dope, dog. So come check it out soon. Definitely have you on there at some point as well. So let's get it.
Who comes up with the topics? Do you come up with them?
I do. I just kind of like pay attention to what's going on, and I'll throw it in the group chat that we have because I definitely want their feedback on like they've. I'm talking to the motherfuckers that are like their thumb on the pulse of what the nation is going to be smoking. Like to team up with them, I feel really dope and just like fortunate. So yeah, there's a lot of kickback on like the show thus far. It's still new, but yeah, like they're gonna contribute in on topics, but it is my show, so like ultimately it's my responsibility to like throw it down every morning.
What is like the main thing that you're gonna try to focus on speaking on?
The main thing I would say would be probably reacting to cannabis news that we're seeing around the nation or the globe. I definitely, like to pay attention to what's happening, whether it be political, like, certain states opening it up, things like cannabis beverages is kind of a hot topic. I believe that's going to really open it up for recreational use. But drama weed, I mean, also like that shit that like really is competitive that makes, I think, the best weed come about. You see people competitive in the cannabis world. You see it right now again with that 120K bracket that Proper Doinks is doing. And I want to smoke every single fucking weed that's in that bracket because, like, if you think your weed's that good, you want to put 10 racks on it. Like, what's good? Let me smoke some.
It's interesting that they're doing it. I think that that is like a cool move that they're doing, like the paid ones. You know what I mean? Because it influences the
Yes.
people to really come with their best hand. You know what I mean?
I'll be bushing. But I think lastly, too, just to like tell you what the show will also encompass is going to be having people in the industry. That's important to me. Like, I'll be on there, I'll be bullshitting, but I'll have guests that are brand owners, facility owners, dispensary owners. I'll have marijuana advocates. We'll have Arizona Normal on there. Shit, maybe National Normal now at this point. Different other outlets out there, just to have the perspective, the awareness, and the knowledge from people who are in the industry right now. While it is unprecedented times, we all had looming over our head what happens if they reschedule it, and here we are. So it's gonna be interesting. I think it'd be cool to talk to like like fucking Doja or Be Easy. I mean, I'll Be Easy on eventually here soon again to talk about his recent drop that's spreading the word, the getting stoned, people stoned all over the nation.
Yeah, he was an interesting one for me to interview. I interviewed him a few times, and he was definitely a fun one to speak to because he's definitely a very controversial person, and it's also it's easy to talk to someone like that. You know what I mean? He has like this weird like ability to kind of like roll with the punches. You know what I mean? So it's like definitely something that inspires because like even you see with like all of the different controversies that come his way, he somehow uses it to grow himself. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel you. Yeah, if you followed him back in the spray terp controversy, everyone knows exactly what you're talking about because
Yeah.
he was catching some heat for that. But I think what he does really well is not be afraid to be his genuine self, and he'll own things, like that he's doing, and you evolve or dissolve, and that's how I think he's successful. Primarily, is one, he just has an act for like a hustle, but then he's a character and he's just himself. So like,
Yeah.
it's a movie every time he's around. So
He's an interesting guy for sure. That's why he's like kind of like the one who influenced me because I originally got into the media stuff by doing reviews, and it was because I'm seeing him posting these reviews, him being like brutally honest, like not giving a fuck what the grower thought or like the person who brought it out thought. He was just being completely honest, and I was seeing that like the majority of reviewers at that moment were kind of sugarcoating shit and telling people it was a popsicle, and it was not something that I was thinking was like a great move for the whole game. You know what I mean?
I have a hard time myself with like being I smoke a lot of weed online. And when I would smoke something that I didn't like, I'm not out here trying to trash anyone. Where
Yeah.
I come with the comfort zone is I'm just not going to speak highly of it. I don't need to bash it. But if I'm not out here being like, yo, this shit's fucking right here, this, that, and the other, then that like, all right, it's whatever.
There's definitely there's room for growth in a lot of grows. You know what I mean? A lot of people kind of get into the game and they start growing weed and they only smoke what they're growing and it becomes this thing that can really not give you that growth, give you that evolution that you see some of these different people who take that constructive criticism. And that's like the thing that I was saying about Beasley before is he's obviously very good at using the criticism, using all the things to help him evolve. And I think that's like something that you can see with a lot of these big faces in the game. They're able to roll with the punches, they're able to use what the feedback to expand to make bigger moves, you know what I mean? And it's something that is very useful in the growth of anything in my opinion. It's like the 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 person that's gonna like really help you change is yourself, obviously, but being able to see those different flaws is very, very major, and it's like something that is very hard to do, especially when you get into like smoking weed. You don't really notice anything bad about it, you know what I mean? But over time, when you start like experiencing like the same strain grown from different people and you start experiencing like it grown in different mediums, you start to see that there's huge differences in like a lot of the different pieces of what makes it good, you know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
very hard to fully explain it for the most part, and I think that's like what the connoisseur is, the person who's able to kind of see those little teeny differences and see how it could be better in this way or it could be even worse if they were, you know what I mean? Like looking at it from a different angle.
I totally get it. You know what's funny too is I had someone get on me about using the term connoisseur in that way. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Because I consider myself a connoisseur. But I'll openly tell people that I can't, my palate is like meat and potatoes. I can't really define, the terp profiles and things like that. Come to find out, man, this fool busts out the damn dictionary and you look up connoisseur and it actually is all about identifying flavor. And I was like, no shit. So what I like to say now is an enthusiast, right? Like I think the enthusiasts out there, who are pushing it in the envelope and whatnot. But yeah, man, it's interesting out there. He definitely knows how to evolve. He definitely does his thing. Major props to Be Easy because I think that where I look at it, the people who wrote the laws, we discussed this earlier, right? They've never smoked weed in their lives and they've never sold weed in their lives and they're making regulations. So, okay, so now, so it's people like that, a majority of who won the licenses. Obviously, there's different states like New Mexico where they left it open. Shout out to them. But people like yourself out there in Florida, people like myself in Arizona, it was limited. And then so that meant like the people who got it were the people who never smoked weed in their life. Maybe some of them got it, smoke weed, but never sold weed in their lives, right? So what we're seeing right now, and what I've firsthand gotten to experience was when you get around a person who owns a license that has never actually experienced the true, and I hate to use the word, but culture of cannabis, being in maybe, what's it like to be in a room with 20 pounds and it's all illegal. And you're about to go sell some weed and you're about to do this. What's it priced? Well, you priced it off basically your market. You price it off this, that, and the other. You price it off or all kinds of factors that they never really understood until down the road after it's all said and done. They eat up authenticity and genuine cannabis enthusiasts. And so where I would say to anybody out there watching that has any type of influence, if you've out there and you've sold weed and you've curated weed, like you gotta try to find your lane in some way. I used to sit back a couple years ago before I really started diving into this and say, Jay, you've been smoking weed for fucking damn near 28 years at that point. And I was like, there's no way you're gonna allow for all these people to make all this money on marijuana when like you've dedicated so much of your life. Like I said, I've been arrested for this shit. I've been an enthusiast since fucking, since I can remember. And so I think that right now there's still a really good opportunity to partner up. Maybe you don't have an opportunity to purchase because it's lots of money. We get that millions of dollars. I definitely didn't purchase a license. Where I did though was, show that I had value in my community and got a shot with doing a deal with a dispensary out here that is allowing me to build a brand, exclusively through them. And that is gonna, give me an opportunity to be out here and eat off of something that I've dedicated a lot of my life to. So like Be Easy, and that's where I'm kind of my circle back, my bad. But like Be Easy, who came from he'll tell you being homeless, drug addiction, fighting all the way out of that and building this empire that he has right now is a true staple to being like, yo, you can carve a lane. You just gotta like understand the rules of the game and then carve your lane. And so shout out to Be Easy for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge influence for everyone, I can assume. But what is like the goal with your media page? Do you ever think you're going to have anything that is going to evolve from it that you have already kind of like been dreaming about almost?
When you say media page, like, are you talking about like High in Arizona or just like me being on like social media and like, in general?
Yeah, like kind of like beyond like the podcast or beyond the live streams, like what is like do you ever have any like bigger bigger dream from it?
Nice. Nice. I do. I think that we're in a time where cannabis is still like, obviously this is a big step with it being Schedule 3 now, but now we'll see like corporations get involved. And I think that media is a big deal. Like I've seen all kinds of media being covered on certain topics, and marijuana is going to be a huge um shit commodity, lots of money being involved. You're going to see it. So to me, I think eventually you're going to see major media outlets want to have some type of marijuana coverage. And I think that I have a radio background, and so to me, I just kind of correlated to that. Like, yo, like right now, I'm in a sense just putting together my portfolio for media, and then eventually, when there's a large platform out there, and shout out to Proper Smoke Network because I think that's an example of a larger network reaching or not reaching out because I did pitch myself, but again, just it building in a sense that cannabis media is going to become a bigger thing. It's going to continue to grow. If I saw a bigger dream with it, I would think it would be doing something like fucking. It's funny. I'm gonna say it just because it's the first thing that came to my mind is like Stephen A. Smith of fucking of cannabis, like being out there talking about cannabis in every facet.
Like the thing I was wondering is like would you ever consider like trying to have your own network, ever like trying to make like
Hmm.
some sort of like thing where you were making different types of content, like all different sorts of things? Because like one thing I've always been inspired to do is like potentially make movies that are cannabis related. I think that that
Yeah,
would be something that would be like a cool move later on.
for sure. I think that I consider right now, and when I do right now, like I have a backpack that allows me to like film anywhere I go, and I've been going into facilities. I do think putting together pilots for streaming platforms, like think about like a tattoo show that these tattoo artists had to go through and to get to the next rounds. I think that could be implemented into a cannabis show. I have a couple ideas for that I think while I'm in it right now as I am with access to all these facilities, they all want to give me weed to do these things. Like it's like, yo, like why aren't you doing this? So yeah, I do plan on like eventually pitching some pilots for it. As far as having my own network. I considered it a few years ago, but I think that it's so difficult and time consuming that I'm one of those that is more so like, hey, let me focus on these other things I've got. That was too big of a task. Focused on my own show, and now I get to sit back and be a part of a network that like, it's nice because it's like I typically own the shit that I'm involved with, and this is the first time in a long time that I'm not, and it's tight because I'm just like, oh shit, like I don't gotta worry about none of this shit. Like I'm just out here just doing my shit, but I'm on this big network that like it's big, in my opinion, and not to like try to put out any vibes out there. Like we're, not out here trying to grow and spread our name out there. But like to me, like shit, I'm joining this like big ass platform that like, that is, like I said earlier, dictating what a lot of motherfuckers are gonna smoke in the nation and the globe. And I get to chop it up. I'm like, let's get it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool move that they are doing that and building something like that, and it's
Facts.
to be like they're giving opportunities to the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what is like the things you're working on at the moment? Are you doing anything that you want to speak on or like shout out?
Yeah, appreciate that. I'll just shout out the High Lounge in Tempe, Arizona. If you're ever visiting out here and you need a spot to smoke, check us out. It's a spot where you can get a membership at the door. It is a bring your own weed facility, but we got a lot of dispensaries out here that just need your ID. You'll be good to go. And then other than that, yeah, I'm just kind of working on two projects at the same time right now, with Smackers, which is my cannabis line that we discussed earlier. Doing a drop tomorrow, a tree drop. Smoke on Smackers instead of put Smackers under the tree instead of cookies. Um, and then the Morning Wood every weekday 9 a.m. Pacific on Proper Smoke Network. I think that just launched. I'm really excited about that. And there's always some shit I'm working on, my dude, but those are the two right now that got my attention.
Yeah, that's cool. I definitely will check it out. I definitely think that it's cool to see that the people are doing like these different styles of podcasts because like doing like a morning one, like a morning news is like gonna kind of like make it more like mainstream in a way. You know what I mean? It's gonna
And
be
that's
very
what
interesting.
I totally think that that's the goal for it. The Proper Smoke Network, for me, able to get on that network and them not having this already. And if you think about it in kind of in cannabis content, we don't have something like this right now. And so if I can get it to be that morning, grab your blunt, grab your joint, take your morning dabs, and let's chop it up. Let's have a central, uh, you know, chopping ground. That's the goal with it for sure. So I hope in 6 months I'm really able to build it up. And there's a lot of people that pop in throughout the industry that, just want to chop it up about what's going on in the industry. So
Oh yeah. Well, it was great talking to you. I would love to do one in the future if you ever have anything that you want to speak on.
yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, sometimes I do have things that are going on nationally that would be cool to be able to pop out there. And I know that your reach is in Florida now. I want to give a big shout out to Nature Labs out there. If you're out there and you're in Florida, you got a chance to try that out. Shout out to my dude Marcus for being a part of that. And thank you, my man. I appreciate you, Kevin, for letting me get on your platform here and introduce myself to your stream. Same to you. If you ever need someone to pop on here and just shoot the shit with you about cannabis, bro, that's my thing. So just fucking you hit me. Let me know.
I'll let you know.